Okay, I will call the April 17th, 2023 meeting of the Fairport Industrial Development Agency to order. And I will ask if there is any public comment for the board.
Just curious about the Northwest Quadrant and the hurricane in which you've been placed last month.
Yep, and we will be discussing that. So with that, I will close the public comment and move to approval of the minutes. We have the March 20th regular board meeting of the IDA for approval. And we were all in attendance with Rob being excused absent. So is there a motion to approve those?
So moved. I'll second.
Any comments, corrections, or discussion on those? All in favor?
Aye.
Move on to financial reporting, starting with resolution 2023-04, authorizing payment of the IDA bills.
Having reviewed them, I move payment of the bill.
I'll second it.
Any discussion or questions on any of those bills? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to financials. We have P&Ls and balance sheets for the IDA as well as cash and investments. Anything, Martha, that you would like to call to our attention in any of those?
Nothing unusual. Mm-mm.
I have on the P&L the item, the repairs and maintenance,
Yep.
item 6170. Remind me of what the big chunk was there that we paid since October. That's a $11,000 bill.
That was
That's the
Josh
13th.
Landscaping.
It was Josh.
Yes.
Okay. And then the interest income,
Mm-hmm.
and that number is
Right.
substantially less than budget,
Yes.
but interest income on other accounts is held.
And I'd have to go back and
Yeah,
pull
you
up my
can look-
planning
you can-
documents.
You can look at it. and
Yes, I
I'm
will.
sure there's a good reason. It's something we discussed, but I just don't. Anything else from anyone on the board regarding those financials? Tompkins investment reports.
Mhm.
We've all had a chance to look at that.
Right. Next maturity is, we have 100,000 maturing April 15th. And so I'll be talking with the bank as well as Tompkins to see what opportunities we have.
And all of the investments are appropriate given our investment policy.
Mhm. And the cash, there's that small amount of cash that they use, that's in the appropriate account as well, appropriate bank.
Okay, anything else from anyone? All right, move on to old business, and this is the RFP for photography that we discussed at the planning meeting. Took no action, but is there any further discussion about that? Anybody sleep on it and think it's anything different than what we talked about last week?
No, I'm confident in our choice.
It's Shalea.
Mhm.
Is that the way, am I pronouncing that?
Shlia.
Shalea.
Mhm.
So I'd entertain a motion to approve a contract, authorize Martha to enter into a contract with Shalea Photography.
So moved. I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so any other old business, Martha?
No,
Okay. Let's move on to new business. We talked about a couple of these things at the planning meeting, but let's update and see what action needs to be taken, starting with the entrance area of the Thomas Creek wetlands.
right. As you recall, we talked about, continuing our community placemaking efforts and the properties that we own. And one opportunity that came to light was that the entrance to the wetlands is not well connected with the community. It's not well organized. It was originally designed for cars and so forth, but we've got a lot of bikes and pedestrians and all those things. So we talked about possibly asking GPI to present a proposal to us to redesign that entrance and to make it more welcoming and connected to the community, more pedestrian friendly, certainly.
So we don't need action for them to submit a proposal. We just need to be accepted, right? Ed?
Mhm.
Nothing at this point.
Okay.
The cameras that we put in under
Yes.
the last Thomas Creek, do they cover that entranceway very well?
There is one
Because
at
I'm just
the,
wondering if it should be, if there isn't, I think that would be important to have a camera added in there.
right, Matt Haggerty and Chief Barnes reviewed the cameras and the placement. There's a camera, as you enter the wetlands, it's on the pole behind you that sees all in front. And then further down opposite the end of the overlook is another camera. And I believe they're both panoramic, and they both will be online.
So we have 360-degree coverage of that.
I don't know if it's 360, maybe 180. I didn't get into the specs between them.
But they're, between the two of them, they're pretty satisfied. We have
Yes.
good coverage.
Yes,
Good.
yes,
Okay, so yeah, in case there is a spot there, I just,
Absolutely.
double check with Matt, but that I think is an important part.
mm-hmm.
Any more thoughts on the wetlands project? We'll get the proposal and go from there and see what it looks like. And then I think as GPI is getting into that, we can offer our input as to what we'd like to see or don't want to see in that area, how intense we want to make it.
I think there's a lot of opportunities for safety improvements, as the bikes funnel off the hill there into the pedestrian corridor, there's a lot of blind spots. And we can also, depending on timing and cost, we can look at doing another grant application perhaps to Canal
How do
Corp.
we leave it with like invasive species, particularly for cutting back where it overtakes the boardwalk in
Right.
our signage?
Well, we talked briefly about doing a more aggressive invasive species removal. At this time, I think I'd feel comfortable
I know we
because,
talked about it, but do we,
well, because we license it to the village to operate as a public park. I can reach out to the DPW and ask them to go in and brush hog it for now. That would be a normal course of business with us. But as to really addressing it and getting rid of it, in particular, asking to brush hog near our public art would be a reasonable request.
you're saying brush hog?
Is that not the right word?
Well, I don't know. I just think of brush hog as like doing acres.
Oh, well,
I was thinking more just some sort of weed trimming or something.
however they do it, yes, I could ask them to.
Yeah, I just hate them going into clear cut.
Right. And then we can talk about, in the future, continue that conversation about improving the functionality of the wetlands and addressing invasive species. But in the interim, I'll reach out to DPW.
Martha, what area down there do we exactly own as you go up towards the path and west towards the village? Because there's a point where there's a kind of a gate that's.
Oh, where?
Oh.
I know
Do
what
we
you're
own that?
talking
Is
about.
that ours?
I don't know. No, I don't think so, but it's probably, yes, we're checking out.
Because that's where the blind spot is.
Yes, I think we own that. I don't think we own that other,
Are you, the
Access?
wooden gate?
the wooden gate.
Is it wooden?
Yeah, yeah.
I see yellow. But might be yellow wooden.
adjacent to the butterfly garden. Is that what you're thinking of? Or the other side of that?
Yeah,
The other side of that is not ours.
That would be, I think, Fairport Electric, maybe in that.
Hmm.
No, like, in the wrong spot.
it's on the,
No,
I think, it's on the canal path as you're
The
walking east. on the
Canal path, not the walkway to the boardwalk, not to the boardwalk,
No,
to the
no.
canal path. Okay.
Yeah, you're on the canal path, it's on your left as you're going east, but it's before you get to the butterfly garden.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, that's the wooden one.
right. And that, let me just zoom in here.
And in particular, just curious as to that, or is there something?
I'm
that
kind
should
of
be
curious
done
because
there?
as a walker, like there's definitely a blind spot if people try to enter there on their bike, as opposed to entering further down where I think most people do.
Mhm.
It's just like a bit of a Y coming into that.
Yeah.
That- yes.
It's kind of funky.
It is, it definitely needs to be reorganized, but I believe that path next to the house, the permanent gate, that looks to be part of the village streetscape. It follows Lifford Lane, but I could be wrong. Well, the surveys will reveal,
Word to be revealed.
right? We'll come back. Here, see, right here, this is what I'm looking at. Right, this is the area we're talking about.
Yeah, it's in yellow.
See how Lifford Lane goes all the way down to here, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I believe, the gate
Okay,
she's
yeah,
talking
not,
about.
right.
So
Yeah, I know.
to my mind, village is up to the end of that
With
at least.
that aerial, can you tell if there's a utility pole in the circle?
In here? Oh, I forgot to look at that. That's as close as
I
I,
forgot to look at it too, and I was all around this weekend. I
that's
should've
as
walked
close
in
as I
and
can
looked
get
at it.
into it.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
We'll get that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
But I would imagine when we talk about reorienting our entrance there, we have that consideration there, that there's car traffic up through Lift Bridge and all that. There's quite a bit of overgrowth there that I think could be reorganized and
Yeah, and I
tended
think
to.
it's probably as they put their proposal together, it's before they start doing any planning or sketching, they probably should talk to this board and
Oh,
see what our thoughts are before he goes too far down the line for us to then review and change.
yeah, it looks like there may be a pole with 3 lines on it.
How many
Yeah.
parking spaces do we have down there?
It's not formally organized, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
But it's got that median island,
Yeah.
kind of. But it was meant, Tom has the original plans
Mm-hmm.
for this, and it was supposed to be much more developed into a parking lot, but I think now with things the way they're going, we want to emphasize the
Still pretty
pedestrian.
passive though.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we want to keep it passive. Yes. Yes. We do not
Yes.
want to encourage cars, but when they get there, we should organize them.
I would, to me, I feel that there should be an exception for accessible parking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good point. Yes,
Mhm.
that definitely needs to be accommodated.
Mhm.
Anything else, or we'll just wait to get a proposal and give a little input? Cool. All right, so again, no action until we get a proposal.
Mhm. Thank you.
All right, moving on to the Northeast Main Street parking lot, and you gave us some of the earlier
Mhm.
drawings. And when we went to temporary parking and what we did there.
Right. And this follows on to the.
And also the scope of work that was performed by
Yes.
Massive Excavation.
Mhm.
Did that
Just
work.
to try to help set the stage for, when I first arrived here, one of the first things I did was a parking lot expansion, and we had started out at 26 spaces. When we did that first project, we increased that to 61 spaces with sidewalks, lighting, plantings, the retaining wall, etc. And then what happened was Matt Lester, the prior owner of the cannery, had come to us. They had engaged BME and said, "Here, look, if you guys put this, or we'll help you put this in, if we can use it for valet, We opted not to pursue that, but instead wanted to get something in there quickly to help the cannery and the north side. And so we just did the millings, the grading and the millings in anticipation of a further project, which we all has come to, it's top of the mind for most people in the village is this parking issue.
And they never did the valet parking plan.
No, and
Lester left.
That's right.
Yes. Although Campane tried a valet plan and people did not use it. I think it's beyond valet at this point. So, in anticipation of the, further studies of that whole quadrant, I think we can anticipate that expanding this parking lot is a likely outcome.
In the work that we did, and we had asked BME as they did that design to bear in mind that we don't want to rip it out if we're going to pave it. That should function as a base, a pavement-based course to do that.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
we should be able to retain that and, have it count towards some of our contract work.
Right. So we talked about asking BME to give us a proposal to the IDA to design the parking, the expansion, fully organized and sorted, fully lighted sidewalk, etc. Just as we have. Well, actually, on this plan, they don't show sidewalk and lighting because, again, I think it was just let's get something in there. So I think clearly lighting is important the farther away you go from there. So
The far back, yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So
People are using it. It's like, well, if it's not lit, they won't use it. They are using it. So let's keep it as safe as possible. I also reached out to Josh Landscaping with regard to the hillside work they're going to do. And because we know people are parking in our landscaping. And then she reminded me that they plan on riprap at the edge. And so they'll continue with that. And she said, and if we can ask the village to drop boulders along that, sitting on riprap is perfect. So I think that would all be part of this construction. So.
And so you have talked to Peter, and he's going to be putting a proposal together. So I know we have a plan that gets us those additional number of spaces you talked about, but I guess should be asking him, do you see any other places we can maximize that parking? I mean, without going all the way over to Rose Hollow, but
I agree. I would want to be mindful of the comprehensive plan, which, identified that area as possible, for additional green space. So I don't think we'd want to maximize the footprint. We'd want to try to maximize it with still retaining some hope for a green space in the future.
yeah, and I think that green space could come also with changing circumstance. I think that green space could come going to the east because we've always talked about a possible connector trail, Stone Dust Trail, connecting to Rose Hollow and that neighborhood over there in the apartments, and then have that become a green space corridor.
Great.
So I think that there's opportunity there.
Good. Okay. And we don't have anything yet from, we talked about updating the Northwest Quadrant study. We don't have a proposal yet, but hopefully before the end of the month.
Okay. I did run into Matt Engels over the weekend. So yeah, he definitely has some thoughts.
Great.
As we talked about, we need this for our data, right? I mean, we can't just go on what we see and then it doesn't pass the smell test, but so we need the data to back us up before we start enlisting people to talk with us.
Right. And also, I asked that what we get from that Northwest Quadrant study, if it's a traffic study or whatever, that it's something that can be used to supplement a village-wide one. That the village would be undertaking at some other point.
Right.
But if we've identified this issue, we're trying to get data to address it and provide assistance. but in the end, I want that, whatever, that data piece to be able to be utilized for a more comprehensive circulation study.
So does that mean it might include like the traffic coming off of High Street
Yep.
at that light?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
When I talked with Andy Rouse, he was interested in getting the traffic coming off of Whitney or even Barnum. So we'll see what they come back with proposal wise, but.
Parks Avenue.
No,
Coming out of
it's Whitney,
All the
yeah,
way down to
all the
Barton?
way down.
all the way down to Barnum, because I know I
'Cause they
cut
come
through
in there.
Barnum,
Yeah.
so.
I know there's a lot of people who like to go park to the land B.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a route? Oh, yeah.
Mhm. Yep, so, yep. So hopefully we'll have something soon.
What are the challenges gonna be the growth, how they figure in the growth factor for the cannery itself without getting a clear picture of what's going,
Around it.
what's gonna go into 75 North Main? We had some assumptions, and a lot of things were based on assumptions that they were gonna be daytime businesses and the like. So that's gonna be a challenge for us to put this together.
Now, on the north, in that parking lot, way in the back is a little business, kind of near that
Breed.
house.
Breed.
What
Mhm.
do they?
Oh, going our way.
Machine.
Our line, okay.
They're machine tools.
And they have right away getting to
Mhm.
that.
Well, the other day I had to go to the DPW and I was down there and I said, of course, coming back up, I saw that little right to go past that little tiny house and
Yeah.
over that bridge, which I questioned whether my Nissan would crash into the creek, but.
Nope, that bridge we just replaced.
Yeah, that bridge got
I know, but it
replaced
just
not too
looks
long
too
ago.
narrow to me.
Mhm.
But I went over it and onto the other side and was, you don't even realize how remote that feels when you're truly just, half a block from
Mhm.
the hubbub. You know what I mean?
Which is why it's pretty cool back there too, when you follow
Yeah.
Thomas Creek, and that's a, look at it as an opportunity to do something fun back there.
Well, I know, like,
Be great to acquire that house and then add it to the green space.
kids school down there to get to Country Max and over to the canal path,
Mm-hmm.
the back way of the canal.
Yeah.
Makes me
Well,
laugh.
it's over, you have to go over railroad tracks.
How they get there, how they get there. And,
But people from Highview and so forth
Yeah.
coming down Rose Hollow, yeah.
do they actually go down that little path it's bumpy,
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's not maintained at all,
right,
but if DPW uses that tool for kind of a transfer station
yeah,
or
big
something.
garbage pile,
or
pile,
Mm-hmm.
kids have dumped
Not
on the pile,
garbage, not
Mhm.
garbage.
but junk, yeah.
We do have our big, the wheels from the bridge are back there. They might have to be moved.
Back there,
Yeah, I had them leave them in the back of that lot and maybe we have a public art project coming.
Green space project.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
natural.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any more thoughts on that?
What's our timeline for getting these numbers? Do we think we'll have this stuff buttoned up and in hand by September?
Oh, golly, yeah. You mean the proposals?
No, I mean, the information we're looking for.
Yes.
I think you
I-
targeted June as the
Oh, all
date
right.
to have that data in hand, so we can
Okay.
start talking to the stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when we did the other one, they just go out for a day or two, and that's it, then they have the data, right? Did we do,
Oh, there's gonna be a lot more.
This
I mean,
traffic study will be much bigger.
Yeah, it goes beyond time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But Tom, I imagine will have the Thomas Creek proposal to us before the May meeting. I mean, we talked, because of the urgency on the northwest side, we talked about having a special meeting if necessary for that traffic study. Because we don't want to lose another 3-4 weeks. So, and they thought they could make that happen. And then I also thought that we follow on to our planning meeting. We'll update our action plan matrix at our May meeting.
All right, then, agenda item for new business is the board vacancy, which Ken has advised us that he is going to be leaving our beloved village, his beloved village, and moving on, and will have to submit his resignation for, from this board. We are very saddened to hear that. Incredible contributor to our board for how many years, Martha?
Since 2005.
Almost 20 years. Yes,
Yeah.
2005. And the expertise and knowledge and passion is just been great for this board and the different board members throughout that time. Educational, taught people institutional knowledge. We throw that around us, old timers can use that word. And it's just been invaluable. And we are going to miss him a lot. But we all still have his phone number.
Oh, yeah.
Your speed dial. And so we're going to be sad to see you go. We're going to do a little reception after this tonight's meeting and kind of properly honor you, but publicly thank you very much for your service and what you've done for us as a board and us as a village.
Enjoyed it very much.
Right?
Absolutely. And you've been a godsend to many times when numbers have befuddled me. And we're gonna miss you desperately.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciated on the audit and finance committee, you kind of making sure that there was kind of year over year progress and making sure we were backtracking when we needed to catch things and make sure we were on the right track to correcting whatever needed to be kind of addressed in those audits. I mean, mostly the small stuff, but all really important to keeping us in line with policies, and really we're going to miss that insight.
Mm-hmm.
You would see small stuff before it becomes big stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's important.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, Ben's never the loudest in the room, but I could always count on him for making important comments at the appropriate time in a nice, steady way. And I appreciate his support very much.
Thank you. You guys are all the best.
And I also bring best wishes from Martha's predecessor, our previous executive director, Cal. I talked to her last week. We were in a Zoom meeting together, and she was saddened but happy because he's moving to Canandaigua and she'll get to see him more often down there. But she wanted to make sure that you had her best wishes as well.
Good. It's about a half mile from my house.
Nice.
So before we get all busy,
Mhm.
Yep.
any other business for the IDA?
I do not have anything.
Anyone? Anyone? Okay, make a motion to adjourn your last IDA.
Yes.
meeting.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I-
Thank you. All right.